Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 63. On this episode, I have Clark Fabris of Pettit Machinery as my guest. Clark, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Clark, I always like to get people's backgrounds when we get started. I always find that to be pretty interesting. So, give me a little background on yourself and a little background on Pettit Machinery.
You bet. So, I guess I came into the equipment business back in the late 90s. I actually had worked as a diesel roadside technician on trucks in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where I was going to school, and left out of there and wanted a kind of a new scene. I'd grown up there, lived there my whole life, so I moved to southern Oklahoma and went to work at a John Deere dealership as a truck driver in Sherman, Texas. It was just a small dealership there. Worked there for 6 months and was promoted to a service manager. I worked there for several years, I guess, until that would have been like 98 until 2003. And I left there and went to work in parts for Pettit Machinery there in Deering, Oklahoma, where I was actually living. From there, I worked there for 1 year, almost to the day, and went there and went to work for Sundowner Trailers as a sales representative for them, and worked there for right out about a year, and saw that my fit was really in the equipment industry, and went back to Pettit Machinery and went to work there as a parts guy again, and was there just a couple short months and was put back in as a service manager again. Worked there in service until 2000 and that was 2011, and I was asked to go into sales. I took the job into sales, worked in sales for 8 months, and then became their corporate sales manager, which was a new position in this company. They kind of just jockeyed that position around between the owner and the CEO, and so we took that position and grew that position, and the things that we were doing, a lot more focus on sales, and I've been there ever since. But always kind of found myself coming back to this industry my entire working career, I guess.
Okay. Well, you've been from the ground up then. You started from the truck driving position all the way up, so you have a lot of different perspectives that probably bring a lot of good experience to your position.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about Pettit Machinery. Tell me a little bit about the area that you cover and the crop mix that you guys are involved with.
You bet. So Pettit Machinery is 8 locations. We're located in 3 separate states: Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. We were based out of Ardmore, Oklahoma. This business was originally owned by Mickey Pettit, which was Brody Pettit's dad. Mickey had actually worked for John Deere as a TM way back in the 70s and 80s, or 70s and early 80s, and then bought out a dealership in Hugo, Oklahoma. He expanded from there to Ardmore and actually sold Hugo, bought the Gainesville location, and when they had those 2 locations, that's when Brody, his son, stepped in and wanted to kind of have a big part in the business and take it forward, grow it, and basically model it after the dealership of today as we see it, with John Deere having multiple dealerships in multiple areas. And so they started that out of those 2 locations there, bought Hugo back again, then they added on, they bought Durant, which was owned by Williams Equipment, then Hugo, and then Paul's Valley came along later, and then the last acquisition was then 3 stores in Southwest Arkansas. So it's a been a family-run company for years, and it's one thing that this company prides itself in is very, very low employee turnover. It's a lot of the same guys, 15 years ago when I started with the company that are still here. There's been new ones, of course, added, but a lot of the veterans that were here are still here. It's a great company to work for, and we're diversified in a lot of different markets. We cover all the way from dryland wheat and grazing wheat on our western territory to flood irrigation and hipped up rows in southwest Arkansas. So, for the territory that we specifically cover, it's a wide array of crops, farming practices, equipment that's used, types of equipment. You name it. It is. We are very diversified.
Right. Well, that diversification is a blessing sometimes, but it's also a curse sometimes too, because of the different materials that you run, and what you sell in one place may or may not work in the next place. But overall, there is enough overlap in certain machines, like tractors, for example, that you can spread those out across your, or it might be some tire differences and those kind of things. But for the most part, you can spread those machines out.
Yes, you are 100% correct.
Okay, so here we are at springtime. If you guys aren't planting, you're getting darn close to it.
Here, we've been planting here in the North Texas area, Southern Oklahoma area. We've been planting corn for I would say about the last 10 days.
Okay.
Really ramped up and started in on it. We had quite a bit of rainfall. There we got pretty dry coming out of the end of 17 into early 18, and we finally got some needed rainfall, and these guys are rolling. I mean, everybody's in the fields right now. They're putting in their crop, and conditions are actually very good right now. I think in this general vicinity, we should be sewed up and all the corn done probably within the next week.
Okay. So overall, let's talk about your planter mix. So you're looking across, the planters have taken such a beating since 2014, and now I think we've sold the used equipment down so far down now that there's not a lot left in captivity that we can turn around and sell. So talk to me about your used planter market, and talk to me about how that's affecting your new sales.
Used planter sales, popular. If it's a popular model and spec unit, that's those are carrying good value right now. They're hard to find if you're looking for a used one. I'd say the resale value compared to what it was even 2 years ago has gone way up. So I'd say used planters have good resale value if they've been shedded, if they're good machines ready to go to the field and don't have that ranchy look where they've been sitting out and weathered.
Right.
As far as stock and inventory, we've got a couple left in stock, but we sold out pretty much all our used planters this year that we carried in stock. We did outsource and go out and buy several planters for different guys that wanted to change up or go to a different setup in their operation. For us, it's really hard on the new side of planters stocking those specific units for guys. And we prefer ordering in specific planters and getting with those guys earlier on in the season because it's let's just face it, it's the technology that's out there is so wide and varies so much between units and farming practices, especially in this area, that you would, no matter what you ordered, it wouldn't be the right setup.
Right.
So
yeah, I know that feeling.
We've got guys running 1770 MTs, some guys still on 1760s. We've got guys that are running 1720s, 1725s, some set up on CCS, some of them just box planters, some on 38. We've got guys on 22s. It's every configuration you can imagine through our territory. So it's to stock that for these guys as far as a retail purchase and have it on the yard, it would be nearly impossible.
Right. Yeah, you never have the right thing for the guy that wants to buy it that day. That's for sure.
Yes,
for sure. So, how has the high-speed planter technology affected your business? So, look at the 1775 ExactEmerge or 1725 ExactEmerge or whatever you have ExactEmerge on. And then also from the older stuff for example, maybe a 10 or 12-year-old planter with maybe a retrofit or a precision kit or something like that on there. So how's that technology affected your business, and how are your customers reacting to that technology?
We're not seeing a lot of focus on that. We've had some guys talk to us about it a little bit, with $3 corn, they're more concerned about right now. What we're seeing concern on is fertilizer. We got fertilizer to a lot of planters this year that they weren't doing before. They were knifing it in beforehand or top dressing afterwards or applying afterwards with row units. But as far as the precision planting side of things, we have not seen a lot of interest. In our area, typically kind of follows behind the rest of the industry some as far as that technology goes. But those in this area here, our guys really don't spend money unless the commodities are way up there on price and the value. We don't see a lot of guys step in and upgrade planters or ask about a new high-end planter like that. There haven't been a lot of concern with that or question with
Well, it's so hit or miss on that. We're the same way here with us. We have some Exactmerge stuff out there. We've got some precision stuff out there and some retrofit stuff out there.
Yep.
I just read on Twitter a lot. There's a lot of guys that are looking for those, 10, 12-year-old, some 25, 30, $40,000 planters, and then they want to spend 50 grand or whatever it is to put that precision technology on there so they can, have the effects of a new planter with a used planter price. So that's it's pocketed. You know what I mean? Some places you talk to, it's a pretty adopted thing, and some places you talk to, it's really not. So it's kind of hit or miss.
It is. It's and there's so many different setups and so many different aftermarket setups that you can add to this equipment. It's some of it has better cost, some of it's extreme cost, and it's just I think a lot of that precision is precision planting is tied to real fertile crop ground areas that have high bushel per acre counts. And we're dry land here for the majority. We're dry land crops, so it's not. They kind of know what to expect. Is that going to make enough difference to offset the cost that they're going to invest in that used planter or a new planter? It's kind of a catch. Some guys are really tied up with that technology and want to see that change in their operation. But I'd say for the majority, it's just most guys are. They've got a good solid planter that's in good shape and has pretty good seed placement on it, and is putting in fertilizer the way they want it done. They're good with that.
Are there more? Have you started to see a drift back towards dry fertilizer over liquid fertilizer, or do you still see primarily a liquid fertilizer mix in your area?
Primarily liquid.
Okay.
There's a couple guys that we deal with that do dry, but primarily it's liquid in our area.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about another thing too. With this being springtime and what the diversity of your area is, there's some sprayers out running around top dressing wheat right now. You're going to have some guys go back in and top dress their corn, those kind of things. So, how does the sprayer market look for you, and what is your used uptake on sprayers right now?
So sprayers, on the new set of sprayers, we have not stocked any new ones this year just because the interest level has been so low on new sprayers. But the used sprayer market, what we have found is very, very, very strong. If you have clean machines with minimal rust and used machines anywhere in that 2,000 hour or less mark that has been well maintained, has good rubber on it, clean booms, and is set up with a pretty good standard configuration. We found whether it's a lease or a outright purchase, the sales market or the sprayer market is very strong right now. We are turning them and pumping them through our shop in Gainesville, Texas, as fast as we can turn them through. They are selling before we get them processed. So, as far as that goes, I mean, it's a good market out there on them. I'd say, as far as the used market, very strong. Used over the last, or new over the last couple of years, it's been weak. But it seems like 100 to 120 foot boom setups on gates or on 4730s on the 100 foot setup with 15-inch spacing. That's been very popular for us over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So
15-inch spacing is that what's the primary draw in your area?
Yes.
Because I had a conversation the other day with a guy. We were talking about, back when corn was with its weight in gold, that it didn't really seem to matter what the spacing was on your sprayer. It didn't matter if it was 15 or if it was 20. If you had one, they wanted to buy it. And now most of our guys that we talk to, and he brought up a good point with the dicamba thing, but most of them want 15-inch spacing with stainless steel plumbing. Are you seeing something similar to that in your area?
Very similar.
Okay. All right.
And we concentrate on stainless tank rigs, very few poly tank rigs, just for the reason of, there's so many different chemicals. And these guys, they're switching from spraying row crops, cotton, corn, wheat, fertilizing, whatever, and they may go spray their cow pastures all in the same, with the same sprayer. So, clean out on stainless rig is much better, especially with stainless plumbing and all that. So, we just kind of concentrate on stainless rigs primarily and stick with that. It's tried, it's proven, it works, and you don't have residue buildup or caking on the inside of your tanks. like you do with the poly rig. So
Right.
we kind of stick with that profile in this end.
What size of model are your customers drawn towards?
90% of them, I would say we do move some 4940s. For an older spreader, 4940s. Very few 4045s, 4038s, and 4730s
Okay.
are archaic here. That's what everybody wants. In this row crop application and pasture spraying and different things they do, a lot of our guys don't want the weight that's associated with those big machines, 1,200-gallon rigs, and they just get to be too heavy. And if it's slightly wet here, our soil, we have a lot of clay-based soil here, and they'll just ball up and you're done.
Right. Yeah.
So try to keep them light.
How many of you guys now that are buying those used R's have looked at doing the aftermarket exact apply with the number of crops that you guys cover?
Well, we have not here. We put some grow sense systems on, vision sense, whatever they're calling that now. But it's we've done a couple of those systems, but nothing with exact apply.
Okay. Right. Is there is that direct inject? Has that been a draw for your guys too?
Not really. Most of our guys, we have sold some rigs that we have put direct inject on. It hasn't been super popular in this area, but we have done a couple custom applications and added those to some sprayers.
Yeah. So
just a handful, probably 4 or 5 rigs is about all we've done.
Right. So looking out, going through here, we've gone through the first quarter. Now we're heading into the busy time of our business. Basically from now till in the corn harvest, whenever that might be. There's a little lull there in the middle, but when you take a look at some of the strengths that you have that you're looking at going out towards the next quarter, you're going through harvest. What are some of the positive things that you feel like you're going to be able that are over and beyond what you did in 2017? What are some of the things you see in the first couple quarters here, 2018, that are going to be a good positive strength for you?
We've built a very strong program through our dealership as far as remarketing used equipment. I think we all know, the massive downturn we saw after 2014 and the slide in the large ag industry. We were prepared for that. We kind of saw that coming, and we prepared for it early. And then, when things when we saw it hitting rock bottom, we were prepared to bounce back from that and do what we need to do. We know that farmers still have to buy equipment. They still have to upgrade. They still have units going down. They still are stacking hours on equipment. They have to do something to move forward. We're not seeing a lot of interest in new large ag equipment in this area. Our focus has been turned to value. Everybody talks about value. They're restructuring loans. They're restructuring how they operate their farming operations. And they're looking at their input costs. They're looking at their balance sheets with their bankers, and they're saying, I've got a lot of unknowns. I've got 3 or 4 8,000-hour tractors. I know that I'm buying time on these things. When they're going to go down, I've got some aged combines and this and that. They're looking at the value that's out there on the used tractors, combines, sprayers. They're looking at them as a retail purchase or a lease. And one thing we have found big that we are really working towards. And working on every day, and that is marketing equipment, used equipment, late model equipment with warranty, guidance, all the things that they need, whether it's a lease or it's an outright purchase. We are marketing all that together so those guys can actually go to their banker or take their numbers for their operating loan, take it to them and say, hey, this is what this tractor is going to cost me for the next 3 years or the next 5 years, whatever it may be. I've got fixed expenses I can put on this, and outside of an operator and fuel, I know what it will cost.
Right. Yeah.
We feel like, in this industry right now, with commodities being as low as they are, that's what the farmer's looking for. That's what they're begging for and asking for. They're not looking at new. They're looking at value. And for 2018, we really started this back in 2016. It's grown a ton. And for the time coming forward, until this market kind of rebounds and gets strong again, I think that's the approach that we're going to take on this end, and just bring the best value we can to the end user, bringing the protection with warranty and insurance, guidance, whatever it is, putting all that in a package together for them with a number that they can afford.
Yeah, that is such a key part to selling even new equipment. It's that fixed cost of operation.
Yeah.
The farmer wants to hear that, and they really want to hear it more than the banker wants to hear it more than they do. You know what I mean? So that is such a key thing when you start talking with these guys, is understanding that if you can pitch them something that's got my payment's X dollars and that's everything, like you said, except for my operator and my fuel. The maintenance and all that stuff is all wrapped into that. And my risk is very mitigated at this point. And I think that's what we need to do with our customers right now, is really give them that sense of security for the equipment that they're buying right now.
Oh, it is. In a scenario we use all the time with customers, and it's real life scenarios that we've dealt with customers, is, it's, you've got a tractor that you're paying on, it's got 4,500 hours on it, and the transmission goes down, and you still owe money on it. And you have to put a $40,000 transmission in a tractor that you still owe money on. Well, it's, do I cut bait and run now? Do I keep on going? Do I stack that into it? I'm never going to get my money back out of it, but I'll just have to use the hours out of it. But am I buying time to go? Is the engine going to go down next, or is it going to be another major failure in it? Those unknowns are what we're trying to alleviate from the customer, and make sure that they've got protection of some kind out there. With the cost of equipment and the cost of repairs now, it's expensive, and it's one transmission will lease a tractor for 2 years.
That's right.
You can put some good numbers in front of them very quickly to where they can see your point of view and where you're bringing that value to them. So,
I've said it a couple times on the show, more than a couple times, but from my perspective, I think what's driving the used equipment marketplace, especially that late and low hour stuff, it's not the fact that these guys they made some money, had more bushels than they expected, and always more bushels always generate more revenue, and you spread your costs over more stuff, and so on and so forth. But I think the drive in the marketplace right now, why it is so hot right now for used equipment, has everything to do with they've had their equipment for so long.
yes,
They are really thinking about, like you said, like, I still owe X number of dollars on this, and it's to that point now, like in my combine, where I'm going to have to spend some serious money to fix components, that are worn out. And same way with a tractor that's got 4,000 or 5,000 hours on it now. I'm not saying that the engines blow out in 4,000 or 5,000 hours. What I'm saying is your risk is extremely higher at 4,000 or 5,000 hours than it was at 1,500.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So they're weighing all that stuff into these decisions that they're making, and I really think even sometimes their banks have to be weighing that too. Like, you've got an 8,000 hour, tractor now. Let's trade that down to 4 and get some warranty on it and see what we can do.
Oh yeah, and no bank, if they're working with the farmer closely and they're managing, helping manage their operating loan, nobody wants to go in there and say, well, I have a lot of this much for seed, chemical, fertilizer, so on and so forth, and equipment payments, and then them come in and say, hey, I got a problem, buddy. I got a $40,000 transmission I got to buy for that tractor now that I still owe you for, and back that on, but I still have to buy my chemical, seed, fertilizer, and fuel for the year. And the banks want to see the protection. And I've heard that from farmers more this year than I ever have before, because after the first year, they were all going back in and restructuring their operating loans for the year. But it's they're wanting that protection, and they're wanting security. I mean, they're begging for it. And I think that's our job as dealers, to make sure we're providing that for them, and giving them something that gives them protection.
Yeah, I mean, we got to be providing as many solutions as we can for guys to keep them, because let's be honest, I mean, at the end of the day, their success is our success.
Absolutely.
So we have to partner with them the best we can. So let's talk a little bit about the overall economy and what you're seeing in your area. So let's take a look at the auction marketplace. I look at auction values right now, and they have spiked up. I wouldn't say so much on the consignment stuff, like the dealer liquidation consignment stuff, or just the regular consignment sales you see out there. I feel like those are fairly consistent, I would say. But man, when you watch these retirement sales, some of that stuff that sells on there, I'm like, I couldn't ask that much for it. So what are you seeing in your area, and how's that affecting your customer base?
I would say the same thing. I'd say retirement auctions for good equipment. If it's not just a junk sale, if you're going there and it's good equipment and it's farmer-owned equipment, I would say the auction values are strong. It seems like there's a good following there, and we're seeing a lot of equipment wholesalers showing up for those sales as well, buying late model equipment. As far as your big auction dump auctions, as I want to call them, auction time, different things like that. It's the good stuff is bringing good money. If it's advertised well, the junk, the cleanup stuff is what you expect. I mean, it's low. There's a lot of it out there, so there's a lot of variance in prices on those. We try to take a different approach. We do run some stuff on auction usually every quarter to clean up some stuff that maybe getting out to be a year old. For a dealership, we try to keep nothing over a year old.
Right.
We find what and get it on down the line. So that's kind of its birthday is our timeline to get it moved. What we have found is really going out and looking at comparisons across the United States as far as values for a similar spec piece of equipment, going in and putting a number on that is comparable in that market area or one of the lowest out there will move the piece of equipment. We've seen it time and time again. So just taking the time to go out there and do that really doesn't mean that a dealership has to take it to auction and dump it off and let the market be what it is that day. I think it's a reality of putting it out there for what it's actually worth.
Right. And that's, I've said this many times, that it doesn't necessarily matter what you have in the unit, it's what you can sell it for.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to just swallow that pill and be like, we've got X dollars in it, and we're gonna have to sell 15,000 less than that because that's what the market is today.
Yep.
So it is what it is, and you have to just, as bad as it hurts, just keep pushing through, and finally you get to the other side.
That's right. It works on the average, and the way I look at it, if you go out and you're proactive, and I'll just say on the used side of things, because new, they can price shop anywhere in the U.S. and that's their right, and more power to them. You have to be competitive on the front side on new. On the used equipment, it's go out there and offset that loss if you have to, and go buy your profit in some other machines that are good value. Turn around, remarket them, and sell them, and regain your loss. I mean, we've all taken some massive losses, for the last couple of years, but all in all, in the average, you have to look at: did I start with $10 and end with 12, or did I start with 10 and end with 8?
Right.
And just take that. Look at it that way. I feel that's the best way to look at it.
Right. It's all on average. Hopefully, your average is better than at the end than when you started. So yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
So one last thing, and we'll shut it down here. So take a look at. So we've seen the positive stuff here. Give me some negatives that you're worried about, kind of in your area that you're really paying close attention to, and you're thinking that there's going to be some definite draw on your business.
There's some negatives. One of the negatives, or I would say, is a negative for me. I watch the markets pretty closely. We know where commodities are. I think the long-term forecast is not a lot of fluctuation there. I think wheat might rally a little bit this year. Last year was a disaster north of Oklahoma. As far as things concerned in this area, my biggest concern coming forward is cotton, and it's really started entering our area. We look at how guys are investing into that industry. We're looking at the gins that have been put in and are running. They're months and months and months out of processing the bales that are turned in, bales or modules. We're looking at guys dumping a lot of equipment or money into equipment to take care of these crops and run them. My concern with it is 2017 saw, I believe the report I saw was a 50% increase in cotton acres in the U.S. over 2016. And, we had 2 record years in a row. 16 and 17 were just record tonnage per acre. And, at that rate, and with the expected growth again this year, my fear is that market is going to flood without notice, and we're going to see a lot of equipment stacked around that's only used for one thing. We're going to see a lot of guys with a lot of debt going forward. So I don't think you have to feed that market as it's demanding. I just when I see growth that fast, it always concerns me a little bit. And big explosions in growth and equipment sales and stuff like that they can be bad too.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the one thing too that worries me about when there's a new trend that comes in, is how long is that trend going to be around? And like for your cotton example there, I mean, they could run cotton for 5 years, and then all of a sudden, poof, we're not going to run cotton anymore, and then we want to trade you our CP or CS 690 into you, and you're like, I don't have a market for this, so I don't know, I can't help you. And then that's such a hard conversation to have with the guy. Like, I can't do that. Like 22-inch rows was a thing here for a while with our sugar beets, 22-inch rows, and then guys kind of quit doing that and just went back to 30-inch. That way they could buy one planter to plant their beets and plant their corn and their beans and everything with. And so now you have a bunch of 22-inch equipment running around here that we were like, well, I don't know what to do with it. So we have sent to Minnesota, and that's about that's what has to end up with it. So, but yeah, those trends really worry me when you start seeing those kind of new, everyone's jumping on board the latest thing, and then all of a sudden, is it going to stick around or not? So.
Yeah, and it's it's one thing. I mean, if it's in a grain crop, sesame or canola or something like that, I mean, it's you're not talking about massive dollar amounts of equipment and changing an operation. They can switch into it and switch back out of it. And they've still got machines they can use.
Right.
Dealing with cotton, I mean, they can use a lot of their same planters and sprayers and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of that is all the same. But when you jump to a $750,000 machine to harvest that machine has one purpose and one purpose only, and it's live.
Yeah.
And if the cotton market does fall out, and they say, well, I'm just not planting cotton this year, those equipment payments or lease payments or whatever they are still hanging out there.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're going to be stuck in a position. What am I going to do with it? I know I sold it to you, but what am I going to do with the machine?
Right.
There's not there anymore. So it's a little concerning. We really try to get involved with our guys and help them make sound, good decisions. Some, I mean, take it on their own. Some of them are big corporations or big pharma corporations and businesses that do this stuff. I would say, they're primarily at lower risk than just an individual farmer doing it. But, with that, we've got guys looking at used. We've got guys, looking and considering new machines for 2019. It's just a matter of where this market goes.
Yeah.
And, we've seen 2 good years. I hope, and I think this year will be a good year as well. But, I think we always see cycles in a 2 to 3 year pattern typically. And I'm looking for that cycle to narrow down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, last thing, USDA reported the other day that I think it was USDA, but anyway, first part of the year they're expecting a 7% decrease in on-farm income from last year, which last year was lower than 15. So,
right.
Are you seeing any residual effects of that as you look into as your year started? Or do you feel like it's been pretty strong?
No, I feel like it's been strong. I mean, it's our guys are going after it, and in this area here, we've got a lot of guys that farm and raise cattle. So I mean, they've got several different sources of income that they're bringing in. So it's not all their eggs aren't in one basket. They're not just counting on wheat. They're not just counting on corn or beans. They're pretty diversified as far as that goes. So in our area, that's good. But I have not seen anybody back off and say, I'm not planting as much of this. We've had some guys say, I'm going to concentrate on beans this year and not do corn.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing we have seen is a lot of guys take their corn ground and go 100% cotton, and have never done that before.
Yeah.
So that's they're kind of putting their eggs in one basket on that, I guess you might say. But we're seeing a little bit of change in that, but nobody backing off as far as acres of operation. And I mean, they're going after it like they did last year and the year before. They're putting it all in, and they're putting it in a cash crop of some sort.
Yeah, I see the same thing too. I mean, and a lot of it too is the stuff that they need to spend money on, like our shops and parts business, stuff like that, are really full, really busy. We have a lot of stuff going on there, and we have a lot more deals right now working on the tractor side of the stuff than we had this time last year. So I'm pretty positive that at least the first quarter of the year anyway, that we're gonna, if everything kind of continues on the same path that we're going, knock on wood, we should be doing pretty good by the end of the year.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think it's I think it's positive. It's a positive market out there right now, even with commodities being low. I mean, guys can still make some money there. Changing around a couple things on their operation. They've looked at, that's what I said on planters. We've been adding fertilizer systems. They're trying to make what they've got better and get a better start, as opposed to just doing the same old thing. So we're seeing some changes as far as that goes. Not drastic, but they're looking at the little things that they can tweak and change to increase their yields and a small percentage of their profit as well. So some are doing multiple crops instead of just one, and we're seeing a change there. But I'd say the outlook for 2018 is looking good. I like what I'm seeing so far. It's what we're seeing right now, as we call it here, we are seeing a sustainable market. That without a market that's just exploded like it was back in 2013, and guys were buying tons and tons and tons of equipment faster than we could get it from manufacturers because they had to spend the money. They're spending money on stuff that they need, and not just because they have to spend it. So that's sustainable to me, and I like to see that market a whole lot better than I do a market that is just spending it because they have to.
Right. No, it makes a lot of sense. So AMS, ISG, whatever we're calling it today. How if you have the technology adoption, is it greater now than it was beforehand, or do you have guys that are just kind of like, I don't know if I need to spend more money on that?
I would say on the ISG side of things, I would say it is very, very strong. We sell systems with nearly every tractor we sell 7R and up, every combine, every sprayer. Our marketing strategy is that we sell with new systems on every one. Started the baseline with SF1 and going through a command arm, and then they want to upgrade and add additional displays or SF3 or RTK. We will add that as well. But we promote that with every used or new piece we sell, and that is included in our prices. We market it without coming back in and saying, "No, we want to add that to it. You want that now?" And then just seeing stuff being added by the tens of thousands. We include that when we market a piece of equipment. I would say the interest out there, looking back 10 years to where it is now, the growth is in the hundreds of percentage category. The guys demand it, and the funny part about it that we joke about all the time is if a guy has a screwed up system or receiver that's not operating properly or display that doesn't operate properly, they're as mad about that as if they have an engine go down.
Right.
I mean, they just feel like anymore they cannot operate without it. So technology is demanded. They want it. They want to play on their phones all day long while the tractor's doing its job. And it's funny to see that change, but it's that's if they're going to do without anything, they will do without a nice cab, leather seats, extra lighting, the rubber of choice, whatever it is. They will do without all that, but they won't do without the guidance equipment.
Yeah, it's amazing how hard they'll push the machine when the buzzers are going off and red lights are flashing. But let them lose guidance lines somewhere, and they're going to shut the whole tractor down until they get that fixed. It makes me laugh. So okay, all right. Well, Clark, man, I appreciate you being on. Any final words you want to say before we shut it down?
Oh, thanks for having me on today, Casey. I appreciate it, and enjoy your podcast and what you guys are doing. It's always good to hear different parts of the country, hear from different parts of the country as to what other dealerships are doing. So I appreciate the opportunity on it, and that's. I hope that 2018 is going to be a great year for you guys and everyone else associated with it.
Well, I hope so too, man. Thank you for being on. What's your website, real quick, so guys, if they want to come and check you out, what would that be?
You bet. Our website is www.pettit, spelled Pettit, machinery.com.
Okay, well, good deal. All right, Clark. Well, shut it down here. So thanks for being on the podcast. Remember, if you want to continue these conversations, you can hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. You can also tune in every day on Twitter through Periscope with the After the Bell with Chip Nellinger that I started doing that. Get all the latest market information, and visit Moving Iron LLC for information about the Moving Iron Summit, and get blog information and also the latest and past episodes of Moving Iron blog or Moving Iron podcast. You can also find this podcast at iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, and SoundCloud. So until next time, this is Casey Seymour, out.